Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to yet another Workshop Wednesday. This week's edition is Beyond Basics, so it's a little bit down the rabbit hole. We're going to continue a conversation that we started actually in a previous episode around Google Tag Manager and server-side, specifically today, how to actually set up your server-side container. Before we go too far into this, welcome. My name is Chris Mercer. Everybody calls me Mercer. You should as well. I am the co-founder of a company called measurementmarketing.io, and whether you found us through a podcast or some of the talks that we give. Recently was actually at Social Media Marketing World, so hello to all of those who I met out there. CXL Institute, we share some of our content with them, of course, with Social Media Examiner, Measure Summit, Digital Marketer. Maybe you found us through some of those other platforms. And of course, maybe you're already a member. Hopefully that is the case over at measurementmarketing.io. However you found us, we are happy that you're here. It's our job to help people like you learn how to use these tools and hopefully put them into context to give you a different way to think about them to help you improve your measurement strategies. We do that primarily through something called the Measurement Marketing Academy, and I'll show you, actually give you a tour of that at the end of today's content. For now, though, one thing. Remember, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and frustrated by all this measurement stuff. There's new tools every day, and those tools have new features every day. And server-side is a fairly new tool to the marketplace. Only been around for a couple of years. People are trying to figure this thing out. So when you watch this workshop, just pick one new idea, one new concept, one new skill that you can practice. Practice it. Make it your skill now, right? Actually ride the bike a little bit. You practice it. Don't watch me ride a bike. You ride the bike. You practice the skill. You have the skill. Come back, rewatch this workshop. You'll pick up another new one thing. All right, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Beyond Basics, how to set up Google Tag Manager server-side. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump right in, of course, with the framework, as we always do. Remember, we plan, we build, we launch when it comes to our measurement strategy. We're trying to get out of marketing in the blind. We're trying to get to a point where just going through this process reliably produces revenue and profits. How do we do it? Questions first, and we make sure we ask the right questions. We gather the information we need in order to answer those questions, and then we know what actions we're going to take based upon the answers we're about to get. That's the planning process. Then the build comes in. This is where Tag Manager server-side hits the roads a little bit here. So you're going to have the results. We got to measure and make sure we're getting results, including things like telling Facebook, right? You can actually use Tag Manager for that sort of stuff. Technically, server-side Tag Manager for that sort of stuff. We make sure the traffic's identified. We make sure that it's stitched together in a proper story. And in this story part is really where server-side can help you out because it just does a better job of getting cleaner data, more higher quality data into your systems, including ad platforms like Google Analytics, Google Analytics 4, Facebook, Google Ads, whatever it is that you're using. Now, once we have everything measured, we, of course, listen to the conversation that's happening between the website and the users. We measure to make sure it's matching our forecast. In other words, is this working like it's supposed to? And of course, because we're measuring against our forecast, we're going to instantly know what's working and what's not. That's how we know what to optimize. And of course, you improve the steps that aren't working, and that's where you invest your resources. That is the measurement marketing framework in a nutshell. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to bring up Google Tag Manager server-side. I'm going to start with kind of a couple of accounts because I want to show you probably what yours is going to look like, and then I'm going to pick it up from a different account that we have set up. It's a little more set up here just for sake of time. So when you come into Tag Manager, we're going to go to admin, and because we're going to create a new account, so we're assuming you already got an account and everything else set up because this is Beyond Basics. You should already, by the way, have really good experience with Tag Manager web version, just a regular traditional Tag Manager. Do not try server-side unless you are really, really good at GTM web-based. Okay, so we're going to go into our new containers. So we're going to create a new container, hit the little plus sign there, and you will see our different options. What we're going to do is click on server. So this is all we're going to do, click on server. And of course, we're going to name it. So I'm just going to say GTM server-side. Let's say we're just testing this. Okay, so we're going to go click on create. Now, as soon as I do that, it's going to give me a couple of options. One is to manually provision. Two is to automatically provision. I would recommend automatically provisioning. Manual provision is definitely in the developer sort of domain here. You're going to absolutely need a developer to do that. You can work with them to do that with your user guide if that's what you want to do. Because Tag Manager is pretty flexible when it comes to this. However, I would definitely just do it on the Google Cloud platform to get up and running. Now, when you click this, it's going to ask you to create a billing account if you do not have a billing account or if you do not have access to a billing account that's already been created. So this is something that you might not be able to personally do depending upon your place in the organization. This particular account can't really, it has to create one, right? We already have one, but this particular account doesn't have access to it. And that's completely beyond the scope of this training. That's more on actually setting up with Google Cloud and all of that sort of stuff. So we're going to skip that for now. It's not hard if you are just a small business and you do have the ability to create your own billing account. Really isn't that hard. You just click on, obviously, create billing account, and it'll walk you through in Google Cloud how to actually do that. It's not that hard to do if you have the ability to do it, right? So that's all we're going to kind of go down there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to another account that actually does have a billing account, so you can see what that's set up, right? So if you need to create your billing account, just do that. It's name, credit card, whatever. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and just reset it up. So that's what I'm going to do. This account, this particular account you're about to see, already has a billing account that's set up. So we're going to click the same steps again. I'm just going to go create a server container. We're going to name it GTM Server-side. And this is testing this too. Let's try that. We're going to go on create. Now you will notice here, when we go to automatically provision, it says, oh, select billing account, because this account we've already previously created an account. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the account that we did for measurementmarketing.io, and we're going to select the account and create a server. Now this time, you pop up this little pop-up here, and it says, okay, we're going into Google Cloud is what it's doing right now. It is spinning up and configuring a server just for your own measurement purposes. Remember, this whole point of server-side is you are creating a measurement server that you can run. And when it says this may take a few minutes, it will absolutely take a few minutes. So give this time to work. Sometimes, you see these little windows and they progress and it feels like, oh, maybe it got stuck. I've never seen this get stuck. It just does take a while. And I'm going to do this in real time. I'm not going to, we're not editing this at all. So you can see exactly how long it actually takes coming through. While we're waiting, though, I wanted to kind of remind you why we're doing this, right? Why this exists. So server side, remember, the whole point of this is that your server can connect, your server that you're using to send to the client. Remember, the browser is the client version here that the user uses. So your server sends web pages to the user. And what we're going to be doing here is having your server also be able to connect to measurement server, and you can use your CRM, connect to a measurement server. And that's what we're setting up here. We're setting this piece up right now. So it is provisioning your measurement server. And then what it's going to do is it's going to install Google Tag Manager on that server. That's what it means by automatically provisioning and setting up your measurement server. So it's going to spin up a server on Google Cloud, right, which it's going to handle, just kind of running through its own scripts. There's nothing you have to do on that. But then it needs to set up Tag Manager, and it does that too. Kind of like if you've ever automatically installed a WordPress site on your regular server and you've used one of those little wizards where it's like, oh, just type in what your site name is and hit go, and then it installs your WordPress site, and then it gives you your username and password. That's kind of what's happening here, right? Same sort of spirit of things. Setting up a server, spinning it up, putting a copy of Google Tag Manager server-side on there so that you can start to use it. Now, one very important part right down here, it says measure.mysite.com. This was our way of emphasizing, again, we used this in a previous workshop, but the idea was to show you like, hey, you're going to be able to have mysite.com for your regular pages, measure.mysite.com, or whatever you want to call it, for your server side, right, for your measurement server, and it's first party data because it's all under your domain. This is an important thing. When you first get this thing set up, though, it's not going to look like this. It won't look like measure.mysite.com. So it's going to look like something a little more cryptic. I'm going to say just kind of put in the basics here. So it's going to be more like, AppSpot, Google Cloud. It's going to give you some weird cryptic address because it's just kind of like a temporary placeholder, right? So I'm just going to make up something here. So it'll be more like appspot.cloud.google.com. And it sort of gives you this temporary space of where your server is. Just like when you do up your regular, if you remember back in the day when you set up your regular websites, you would get a hosting company, they give you the IP address, and then that's kind of it. Like your site's not really there yet, right? Until they just give you the IP address, and then you have to point everything to that IP address. That's kind of the same thing you're about to go through with this. First step, though, is you got to set it up, right? Got to spin it up, which has been happening hopefully in the background as we've gone through. So let's flip back. And there we go. Our server has been created. And now, again, I did this in real time. So maybe this was done about a minute or so ago, but it does take a little bit of time. And this is that cryptic little default URL, right? This little appspot.com, right? So it gives you this little cryptic URL that's just for you that can get to your particular server. So you have all this information. Now I'm going to click on close here because you might need some of this later. By the way, if you ever need to get to your platform, and you'll see this in just a moment, into Google Cloud, you can click on this button and then you can name it whatever you want. So if I click in here, you'll see it'll take me right to my Google Cloud, and you can adjust, this is, again, way beyond the scope of this training on Google Cloud stuff, because it is just a completely different platform in and of itself. But what we're going to do is I want to show you kind of where some of the other information that you're going to be looking for in Google Cloud, where it's going to come from. So first thing, let me go back to my tag manager here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on close. And we are now officially in our Google Tag Manager server-side container. We know this because of the name. More importantly, we know this because of this right here, this thing called clients. This is something that is specific to server-sides. That's how you know you're in a server-side container. If you see clients here, instead of just tags, triggers, and variables, then you're in a server-side container. If you flip to a regular container, clients goes away, because clients is something that server-side specifically has, right? That's it. And again, a little bit beyond the scope of how to set this part up yet, because of the initial point of this workshop is just setting up the container itself. And technically, we have the container set up ourselves. It's created at this point. I can always get back and get those detailed information here by just clicking the admin, right? So anything that I would need, I have back here just by clicking this. This is your container ID for server-side GTM. Now, the other important step, and this is actually what you're about to see next, the other important step is now that the server's been created on cloud, right? And you got the little AppEngine stuff here, and you got to do a one additional step to make this thing happen. So instead of having our little app spot, ID that came through, we're going to change that to whatever your subdomain is, whatever your particular subdomain is. And for that reason, I actually have somebody that we brought on. This is actually Stockton Fisher. So he's a technical marketer. He has taught thousands of students how to do this stuff. He's a former product manager over a company called Funnelytics. He is an Academy member over at the Measurement Marketing Academy. So thank you for that, Stockton. And he's absolutely one of my mentors when it comes to this stuff. He's so much more skilled than I think I will ever be. And of course, at MeasurementMarketing.io, it's our job to make sure that you're getting the information that you need to get unstuck and on the way. And obviously, Stockton is going to be able to help us with that. So I'm going to have Stockton actually take over the next step here. And what he's going to show you is, now that you've got your container set up, right, which is the initial creation technically, kind of a two steps. One is you activate the container, which we just did. And then you have to customize the container to get the pointer in the right direction so you have your own subdomain. Now, I want to emphasize before I hand it over to Stockton very quickly here, when I am in, let me close this out, let me get it to the right one here. When I am in our server-side container, I can technically use this right now if I wanted to. I could just use this default URL here. The challenge is, if I use this default URL, it's not first-party cookie data anymore because it's on appspot.com, and I really, really want it on my domain, right? So that's what Stockton's going to show you, is actually how to do that. He's going to pick it up kind of where I just left off so that you can actually see how to do that. All right, with that, take it away, Stockton.
Awesome. All right, so let's hop back into Google Cloud Platform, and we are going to assign our AppEngine project, our AppEngine service here, to work off of a custom domain instead of the ugly one that they gave us previously. So if we look under our server container here and we go to admin, under container settings, we can see that this container currently will respond to this URL. So when we are, for example, if we were to send requests from our browser to our server container, as of right now, we would use this URL. And I haven't shown you how to do that yet because that is in the next lesson. But this is the URL we would want to use. Now, this is not good because, one, this is not a URL in first-party context. Obviously, this has AppSpot as the main domain here with some crazy subdomains, right? This would be equivalent to sending data to a third party such as Google Analytics or Facebook, and there are some limitations to that. One of the things that I showed you just previously was how we can actually rewrite cookies to have longer expiration dates. In order to do that properly, you have to be interacting with the site in a first-party context. This URL is not first-party context, so we're going to assign a custom subdomain to our project so that it can interact with our site in first-party context. The way we do that is we're going to come back to our AppEngine project. We're going to go AppEngine here from the drop-down menu and choose Settings. From settings, you're going to go to custom domains, and we're going to add a custom domain. Now here, you could already have a few domains. So where do these domains come from? These domains come from domains that you have verified under Google Search Console. So that is one more step that you would want to do if you don't have that done already, is verify your domain under Google Search Console. It's pretty simple. You go to Search Console, you type in, this is my site. They give you a DNS text record that you just need to add to your DNS, and they verify it, and then it will show up here. Once the domain is verified under Google Search Console, it will show up here and we can select it. So I'm going to hit continue. And we are creating a subdomain. So we're not going to do anything with these main domains because these domains are already pointing to the server that's hosting the website. In this case, it's a WordPress site. So we're going to delete these two because we just want to create that subdomain. And I'm going to say something like track 2. In my case, the other one was track 1, the one I already showed you, and we're creating this new one, so I'm just going to say track 2. But you can put whatever. It may not be smart to put track, just because the sophistication of Chrome plugins and browsers may start, oh, it has tracking, I'm going to block it. So you could put something like SS GTM, server-side GTM, or in some case I've just done T, so I know it's for my tracking subdomain. But in this case, I'm going to put track 2, and you can put whatever you want. So I'm going to put track2.coursescale.com, and hit save mappings. Okay, let's hit continue. And it gives you a bunch of records here. Now this part was slightly confusing to me at first because it gives you A records and 4A records. I don't know the correct nomenclature for the insiders, what they call these 4A, quadruple A, I don't know. And then it also gives you a CNAME record. In our case, you just want to ignore CNAME completely. ITP, Intelligent Tracking Prevention, says that if a site or a domain is interacting with your site through a subdomain that is through a CNAME, you can't rewrite the cookies. So it's important that we set up our custom tracking subdomain using these A records instead of using the CNAME record. So just ignore this, and we're going to set up these. For this, you are going to need access to your DNS records. So I have mine right here. Mine is through Cloudflare, but whatever yours is, they're all pretty similar. You can see what I had previously done. I have A record track 1, because that was my subdomain from the previous server container, and it's pointing to the AppEngine server. And the only thing that changes across these is this second to last section here, which is 38, 36, 34, 32. And that matches what is here too, 32, 34, 36, 38. So you just need to set up those A records just like this. So A, track 1, and then the IP address. A, track 1, or whatever yours is, right? Whatever your subdomain, just the subdomain, 36, 34, 38. Also with the 4A records, you would do that. So you come in and set all those up. From there, what you do is hit done. And the Google Cloud Platform is going to start working on creating an SSL certificate. Now, it's not going to work in my case because I didn't set this up to be track 2, right? I only have track 1 set up from previously. But if I had done it, then it would scan the DNS records. It would say, yeah, these are set up properly, and it's going to generate an SSL certificate so that we can interact with the domain in first-party context. You'll notice that there is the SSL site secured. This is a secure connection to my custom tracking subdomain, and that's what it was doing. So this is another case where it's going to can take a few hours even. So in lieu of that, we're actually going to just jump back to our other server, and we're going to go to server 1 that is already set up. Now, once it is done provisioning the SSL certificate, you're going to come back into your server container, go to admin, container settings, and replace the tagging server URL to be your new subdomain, right? Your custom subdomain. What you will see right now is this, and just replace it with the new subdomain without the final slash, right? So leave the final slash off, and it should just look just like this: HTTPS subdomain main domain, just like that. And this way, we are interacting with our server container. All of the data being sent to and from the container will be in first-party context. And because we used A records, we can actually do the cookie rewriting in a safe manner that won't be blocked, as of right now, by ITP. Whereas if we had used the CNAME record, that would be restricted by ITP, and we couldn't extend the cookie lifetime So it's important to use the A records. And with that, we will have successfully configured our server container, provisioned the testing server, and set up a custom tracking domain to interact with it in first-party context.
Perfect. And then just to confirm, the tagging server, the default URL will never change. Like it shouldn't one day show track one or anything like that. It would just always show whatever the original one was.
So the one that it gives you by default won't change.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can change what the tagging server URL is. You can change this.
And then when you go to preview, you clearly see it says track one when you're looking at it. You go, oh, that's how I know it's working.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stockton. Again, for those of you who are Academy members, you can connect with Stockton inside the Measurement Marketing Academy. He's in the winner's circle, so feel free to pop questions back there. He's also a frequent guest over the Measurement Mastermind that we have for those who are members of the Measurement Mastermind. And if you're not an Academy member, Facebook Messenger is Stockton at greaterthan.marketing.com. So thank you again, Stockton. What was your one thing from this entire thing? At this point, you've got a set up GTM container. You can actually go in and start using it. So the whole point, remember, activate it first, and then you got to set your pointer over so it goes to the right subdomain of your main root domain, because otherwise you don't get everything you could get from GTM server-side. You want to make sure it's kind of a necessary step. You want to make sure that you have it under your domain. Remember the framework, where this fits in. The whole point that you're even using server-side is for this part here. It's to improve your build. Remember, especially remember this, if you're just starting out, and you're just starting out in the world of measurement, do not try server-side. You should not do that. You have to be an expert on GTM regular version, the traditional GTM first. If you're not, please don't attempt this. It's not ready. You're not ready. Your measurement systems aren't ready. Do not try server-side without understanding how to really be good. First, to really be good at regular tag manager. Assuming that you are, though, you're going to hit a point where certain questions need to be improved. Certain information needs to be collected and sent over to Facebook. And you need bigger tools to do some of these things, right? And as you have measurement muscle, you can start using those bigger tools. One of those bigger tools, of course, is server-side. So it fits in right in there. All right, next week's workshop is taking full advantage of GTM server-side. We're really more of a strategy session for those of you who have maybe used it, trying to figure out what you can do with it. We're going to give you a tour of some of the things that you can actually do with it. Show you a couple of steps here and there, but not really for implementers. This is more from a strategy perspective to make sure that you're getting everything you can from GTM server-side. So we will talk more about that next week. If you want that workshop, just click on the subscribe button. Make sure that you hit that bell or whatever they're using for notifications. And thank you to all of our subscribers as we are climbing up and above the 4,000 mark. So thank you for those. And then thank you for the comments. We read every single one of them and really do appreciate you leaving those comments there. And if you have any suggestions for future workshops, definitely let us know that as well. Now, the other way that you can get the workshops besides subscribing to the YouTube channel is we have the Measurement Marketing Toolbox. Workshop Wednesday is always there. You always have the most recent workshop that's there, but you also have a bunch of other tools. So especially if you are just maybe starting out, this is the one I would recommend that you do. It's completely free. There's a traffic tracking toolkit back there. There's a dashboard toolkit back there. There's a GTM cookbook if you do have some tag manager skills you want to level up. There's all sorts of stuff that's back there. It is completely free, much more than you see here. It just requires a name and an email. All you need to do to get that is go to measure.tips/WW, and you can go ahead and sign up for a free Toolbox membership. It'll create your account. The only thing we ask is that you use it. So if you're not using it for a few months, we may ask you to make room for somebody else, but otherwise it's completely free. Again, only thing we ask is that you use it. All right, next up, let's talk about the Measurement Marketing Academy. It is, of course, our flagship training program. We built the Academy for one reason only, and that is to help you get through the measurement marketing framework over and over and over again at the various stages. We talk about there, and then you first start out, you're just learning this stuff. And so you can only do so much with measurement. Then you get through the framework, you build a little measurement muscle. Then you're going to come back through the framework again, build it again and again and again and again. And it keeps going like that. The Academy is there to help you to do that every step of the way, every time you go through the framework. A really quick tour of what the framework looks like, or not the framework, but the Academy Academy itself. So when you come in, you will see these 6 core blocks that are here as an Academy member. Of course, we always have the latest updates each week that will come through here with some of the highlights of what's important as an Academy member for you. So you always have that. The main content is the courses, the workshops, and of course, the toolbox. So the courses, they look like this. They're all organized by date because they are updated typically every 4 to 6 weeks. We are doing an update to an existing course or a brand new course. You can see everything that is back here. There's an absolute ton organized by date because as an Academy member, like you don't want to be back here watching courses all day long. But if it's been a month or two and you want to come in and see the latest one that's done, very easy way to do that. Of course, they're organized by topic as well. So you can see all the Google Analytics stuff, including GA4. We've got the Tag Manager stuff, including server-side. We've got Data Studio in the dashboarding section, including the Beyond Basics that's here of Data Studio. And of course, what my personal favorite is the strategy stuff. How do you plan? How do you forecast? How do you optimize? The thinking behind this thing called measurement is almost, actually, it's not true. It is more important than actually learning a tool like Google Analytics. Because if you don't know the thinking behind why you even want to use a tool like Google Analytics, what's the point, right? So measurement strategy is also back here as well. So that's the courses. To show you what they look like as an example, here's your measurement plan. When we talk about building out a measurement plan, you come into it, and this is what most of the courses are basically following, same sort of idea. You have the main lesson, and each of these is videos. So you have the different videos for the different topics. Here's the next lesson with their topics. So you can see how much is back here as you go through and learn and practice and grow. And of course, there are ways to get help as you need help, which you will, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So you've got the WIN courses, right? That's their standard courses that most people are looking for. And if you think about how many courses are back there, it's all the analytics, all the Tag Manager, all the different levels of those, Data Studio, strategy, and more. Like we had all sorts of stuff. We just recently came out with Sheets. We're going to be doing, things like BigQuery and things like that. So there's always new things that are coming out or being updated just in the WIN courses themselves. Next up is the on-demand workshops. On-demand workshops look like this. You always have the most recent Workshop Wednesday back there for you. And you can see those broken down. So they're organized by date. You can get caught up on all the what's new workshops as an Academy member. You can get caught up on all the getting started workshops as an Academy member, the Beyond Basics. These have all been edited down. They obviously don't have things like the Academy tours and stuff like that in there. But it's a really good way to get caught up, and it is entirely searchable. So you can go in here, type in whatever the thing you're looking for. It'll search the entire database of all the on-demand trainings that cover that topic, as well as the different lessons that cover that topic in the WIN courses themselves. So you have access to all of that. Again, WIN courses and the on-demand workshops, just in terms of the content. 24/7, access whenever you need it. It is there for you. The toolbox is our final bit of content. So the toolbox itself has all of the tools that we have access to. So you can copy these, create these. We create them for our members to make things easier. A lot of these are referenced in the WIN courses as well. But the Academy member also gives you access to the Get It Done guide. So things like Eyes on the Journey, which is a pretty popular report that we are very famous for at this point. That kind of shows you deep dive into how the behaviors that are happening on the pages. There's a big little video series on this. It's one of these things where a Get It Done guide is perfect if the topic itself is not big enough for a WIN course, but it is bigger than just what one workshop should cover. That's what we do, the Get It Done guide. So it's kind of like a little middle ground. And this system, the reason that we do this with the WIN courses, the demand workshops, and the toolbox, including the Get It Done guides, is because somehow when something changes in measurement, which happens all the time, we're able to get you updates fairly quickly. So you can always stay up to date and take advantage before anybody else can, which is kind of why we do this for our members. So those are the main content sections. Now, I mentioned earlier, you're going to need help with this stuff. We definitely need to get help with this stuff because this stuff is complicated, because it's sometimes really useful to talk to people about this stuff. So there's a couple ways you can get help. One is the Winner Circle. So that is kind of the community helping the community, right? Peer-to-peer stuff coming through. So you can see people, the break room sort of mention stuff where people are from or whatever. In this case, for social media marketing world and having conversations around that. But they're broken down by different topics. And this is a chance for members to help other members. Sometimes we don't have the skills to answer the questions because it's not our topic of expertise. For example, if somebody asks us something about technical SEO, well, we're not technical SEO experts, but there are definitely members in the Measurement Marketing Academy who are. They're agency owners who are. And so they can help answer those questions. Maybe you're a platform expert when it comes to Google Ads. Maybe you can help somebody answer Google Ads questions, or maybe it's a builder platform or something like that, WooCommerce or whatever, right? So Shopify. And so it's like people can help each other back there, but they're all speaking a unified language, which is measurement marketing. It's one thing everybody has in common. So peers helping peers. It's a super, super cool group and a really good spot to build networks, etc. The other place to get help, and this is, to be honest, what most people use, is the Ask an Instructor support system. So Ask an Instructor support's pretty easy to access. You get into there, you ask your question, pop in your question, the details. What we really, really love are screenshots and videos in this section. So you send us over a link to a video that's kind of a full screen video that walks us through what your issue is, what your question is. It doesn't matter if it's a strategy question or a tactical sort of like, how do I get this goal to work in Tag Manager question? It does not matter. Send us over anything that you want us to take a look at from a measurement perspective. We will be able to get you unstuck and moving forward. That's the idea. And our job as instructors is to help teach you, to build you muscle. So yes, we will sometimes give you an answer, but mostly it's to help you to find the answer and leave you so that you learn these skills as an organization, right, within your own organization. That's what the Ask Instructor support is for. And it's the closest thing to essentially a quote unquote private conversation between your side and our side, right? The instructor team and then your side of things. So that sometimes I realize putting things into the winner circle might not be important, something you can do because you don't want to share maybe client data or something. But you can certainly have a behind the scenes conversation with the instructors back here in the Ask Instructor support system. And of course, all of your answers are recorded, so you can have those and mark them as favorites or whatever else. It's a really incredible system, and we built this entire academy again to help you. It's not that you're going to come in here and watch all the videos, because we create content faster than you can watch it, but it is a just-in-time learning platform. So you can come through when you have a question. There will be some way that you can get unstuck and moving forward. Maybe it's a course. Maybe it's a workshop. Maybe it's a get it done guide. Maybe it's a winner circle question that you can help answer or get an answer to. Or it's Ask Instructor Support. And 9 times out of 10, if you send over videos and screenshots, we send over videos and screenshots. So it's an absolute incredible platform to be a part of. Obviously, would encourage you to be a part of that as well. The manage account here, just so you know, is the standard manage account stuff. So if you need to change your email or billing information, that sort of stuff, kind of standard at that point. So the academy itself, to kind of run down the value here, the courses, the Ask Instructor Support, the on-demand workshop library, the Winner Circle community, you get access to every single course that's available back there. So we don't limit anything. You get access to everything, including all the updates. The Ask an Instructor Support, you get access to that. You can ask as many questions as you want. There is no limit to the amount of questions that you are able to ask back there. So we have people sometimes that are like, I feel bad asking so many questions. Please ask questions. The instructors actually like that more. It's a dirty little secret, but it's true. The instructors love the people who ask more questions because they know that those people are learning. Those students are learning. So please ask questions back there. The on-demand workshop library, again, 24/7 access. There are hundreds and hundreds of workshops that are back there in this database, completely searchable. New ones added at just about every single week. The on-demand workshop library is back there for you. And of course, the Winner Circle community. You get access to essentially what is a private club of measurement marketers and those learning measurement marketing that you have access to. So all told, you have approximately $15,000 in training and support that you get access to as an academy member. And technically it goes a little bit higher each and every week because we keep adding content to this platform. Again, our job is not to overwhelm, it's to help, to make sure that you build skills, that you build your own measurement muscle. That is what the Academy is there for. So with that, it's officially that time. It's our job to ask you to join the Measurement Marketing Academy. And of course, to do that, just go to measure.tips/Get Academy to take a look at the most recent available offers for the Measurement Marketing Academy. And we look forward to having you as an Academy member soon. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. This has been Beyond Basics, how to set up Google Tag Manager server-side. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.